News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
And I'm Allan Gilbreth with darkoakmedia.com.
You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like and check out the action. And Allan, I've already posted the must-have item of the week.
Excellent.
And, of course, we're also joined by our buddy Max behind the glass. Well, Allan, shortly we're going to be joined by a friend of ours, Bobbi Wilkerson. She's a designer for Shelf Genie, one of our proud sponsors.
Excellent.
And we're going to get a new perspective. And she's kind of a wide... I almost think she's too qualified to be on our show. She's a pilot. She flies hot air balloons. She's in medicine. You guys will hit that off. She's just a very interesting individual, but she's real passionate about her work for Shelf Genie. So
excellent.
It's going to be pretty cool. Allan, we ran out of time last week. We never got to your Demon Stone in Japan story. That's going to be good. And Critter Wars is sort of stacked up because you're dealing with things, I'm dealing with things.
So many Critter Wars.
And speaking of Japan, we never got to the giant spider invasion that's coming over.
That will be here this year.
Critter Wars is going to be a little stacked up. And we've got several other things that we're not going to tease because I learned my lesson about that because we'll get to half of them anyway. So it's all coming at you today on Tool Talk Radio. But before we get to any of that.
And now, Tool Talk Radio's weekly salute.
Dig in. Sometimes, if you're not careful, you can get yourself into hot water. No kidding. If you go on a camping trip and don't keep your food out of the reach of the bears and raccoons, you may be in hot water when it comes time to eat. If you're a greedy owner, player, or other elite member of a Major League Baseball team who is ruining the experience for millions of fans, you may be in hot water when those fans decide to stop giving you their money. Allan, I got to calm down. I'm always all this passive-aggressive stuff. Max, the producer, got himself into hot water on a road trip with his friends as they headed to Dabba Dabba Doo Con in Las Vegas, Nevada, a yearly convention of Flintstones enthusiasts, when thanks to some poorly interpreted verbal instructions by Siri and the consequent GPS snafu, they inadvertently wound up at a Yo Gabba Gabba concert outside of Yucca Flats. Just as the group was launching into their opening number, burping can be fun. We've all been there.
I mean, hey, my Siri's set to Japanese, so of course it's going to be confused.
Exactly. And of course, on one noteworthy occasion, when Allan Gilbreth was attending one of his wife's family reunions, he found himself quite literally and figuratively in hot water when he was inspired to pursue the answer to a question of great scientific importance on his mind at the moment, which was, if one were to dump 5 gallons of orange food coloring and a wheelbarrow full of Alka-Seltzer into their mother-in-law's hot tub, would the effects be sufficient to convince the attendees that there was an active volcano on the premises, thus allowing one the opportunity to make a polite and discreet early exit from the party? However, the plan backfired magnificently, for in his eagerness, Allan made the rookie mistake of forgetting to first disengage the nearby security camera, which captured the entire operation from start to finish, resulting in Allan now ironically being the last person to leave the party, as he spent hours cleaning up the mess. And in a final indignity, his mother-in-law posted the video on her YouTube channel under the title, My Rotten Son-in-Law, where after going viral, earned her enough money to go buy herself a new pair of jet skis. Allan, just suffer through these parties.
Well, it wasn't truly that. It was sweet and sour sauce. So you got to get the whole thing right.
The mother-in-law always wins. More often than not, however, getting into hot water is actually a desirable thing, especially when taking a bath or a shower. For millennia, the simple act of accessing hot water was a labor-intensive job. In the year 1897, however, a revolutionary invention made getting hot water as easy as turning on the faucet. My friends, we give you the hot water heater. I think I set a record. Max, we're going to need more music next week.
You're going to need a symphony next week.
These are getting painful.
Yeah. Well, you get carried away. But Allan, the hot water heater, I feel like it's another one of these where the lines are blurred, right? When we're talking, because, when I was doing the research, I found a few names. But go ahead, you're a little more tuned in with this. So
let's go back to natural hot springs.
Oh, yeah, the Vikings, that's what they had going for them.
Not only the Vikings, but all over the Middle East and all of that, you had natural water reservoirs that, of course, being humans, we turned them into, basically the ancient version of a Starbucks. Welcome to the bathhouse.
Wait a minute. That's where they hung out.
It's where if you could afford it, that's kind of where you went and hung out and did business. And we didn't really have a golf course back then, so you hung out at the bath.
Wait a minute. Wait. Now, Rome didn't have hot springs.
Yes, they do. And
that's where they did their bathhouses.
And just in case you didn't have enough hot water, you had a stone heating system where you would heat stones and then go chuck them into the water.
Okay.
Creating the steam in the bathhouse that we think of.
Oh, now they still do a variation of that in saunas, don't they?
Yes.
Don't they throw? Yeah.
That is a time-honored tradition.
Okay. I kind of like that because it's more of like a radiant type thing. Right?
It is. It's also a great way of dying when one of those rocks explodes.
I was about to say, you get an ice-cold rock. You throw it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we get to a guy by the name of Benjamin Wadi Mon.
Okay.
And he basically created, as he called it, you're going to love the name of this. You ready? The gas geyser.
Oh, gosh. What we could do with that.
He did natural gas.
Sounds like a song from the Aquabats. So.
Exactly. It was just basically a big old tank and a gas heater.
Yeah.
And congratulations, you got hot water.
Okay.
No safety, lots of ways to die, but you got hot water.
And we got to give a shout out to Edwin Ruud, a Norwegian mechanical engineer. Now, he lived in Philadelphia. Right. This was 1889.
Yeah, he's like 25 years after Mr. Mon. And he actually did things like, safety devices where this thing wouldn't explode. So he is actually considered to be the guy who created the first honest-to-goodness in-home hot water tank.
Okay, cool. Well, on that note, Allan, we're going to, getting hot water into your home was a paradigm shift in human history. So we're going to unpack that a little bit more because we like talking about revolutions here on Tool Talk Radio. You are listening to Tool Talk Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
'Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I miss that kind of work ethic, Allan. You get your arm ripped off, put a Band-Aid on there, and get back to work. That's what we need here.
You got what you got to do.
Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our buddy Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, we do invite you to do those kind of calls and text us as well. It was fun talking last week to Natalia. I'm kind of curious how her search for a barn dominium is going. She's going to hopefully keep us posted on that.
I have gotten so many questions about that this week.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So if you think you can top that, maybe you've got an interesting discussion, just give us a buzz. We love talking to you. And also go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. You can give us a like and check out the action over there. And I posted sort of a different kind of must-have item of the week. It's a little outside the norm. So if you're curious what that is, go ahead and check it out now. You don't have to wait. You can get spoilers now. Well, Allan, earlier in the show, we were talking about hot water heaters, and we're going to get back to that in a moment because it really represented a paradigm shift in the way humanity lives. But another thing that represents a paradigm shift is good quality roofing. Boy, was that stupid. I tried, Jay. Sorry.
You gave that a good hard left turn there.
But I do want to talk about our friend Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling because, for one thing, Allan, they gave you a wake up call this morning, didn't they?
I know exactly where Jay is right now and exactly what he's doing.
What
he's
is he doing?
My house.
Yeah. What is it, like 7 o'clock? You weren't sleeping in today, right?
No. It was very funny because at exactly 7:03 this morning, the first scraper met the first shingle, and within about 30 minutes. There was no roof left on my house.
They don't play games.
They're
all about getting in, get it out.
Oh my gosh!
But Jay's done all of our roofs now so far. But Big M Roofing and Remodeling, they're great. They do great work. He's a GAF master installer. He's 5-star reviews with the Better Business Bureau. Good housekeeping. He's highly qualified. But what's great about Jay as well is he is a former insurance agent. And so if you've got any issues that might involve making a claim with, the repairs or the full replacement of your roof, he is the perfect person to help you navigate that, because that's a tricky process. That's not something you just pick up the phone and handle by yourself. Really, he's almost like an advocate. You're almost getting like a free legal advocate in addition to a free roof, because, he doesn't charge for that particular service. So.
Watching them at work is truly amazing, because they're not speaking English, because they're speaking in insurance codes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a this and this, and that's a one of these over here, and that's a this. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy you speak that language.
Yeah, I'm glad you know what you're talking about, because I don't. But anyway, they do it all. They're really good, and of course, all their remodeling. He likes unique remodeling projects, so so be sure to get in touch with them about that as well. Just good people, a good culture over at Big M Roofing and Remodeling. So get in touch with them at 901-484-5645, or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. Well, Allan, you kind of. You said something sort of amusing to me earlier. You said that basically, we're talking about the revolution of hot water, because, back in the day, I guess if you didn't have it, you just quickly washed up with a bucket of cold water or something. You sure weren't going to take a bath in it or anything. So back in the, however long ago. But then you said, like the Romans, and I don't know if the Greeks got in on this, but you said the bathhouses became a very social place. It wasn't just, and so you called it like the Starbucks of
it was
of ancient Rome. That's interesting.
I could just picture like philosophers just all like sitting in their own separate baths. So like, what is the nature of existence?
You're not that horribly far off.
So forget the agora. It's actually the bathhouse.
It was. These were sinners, and especially if you go back and look through your biblical stuff, before you went someplace really nice, you had to bathe.
Sure.
So there were a lot of bathhouses along the routes that pilgrims took, so that before you visited XYZ shrine, you had to go get cleaned up.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, the bathhouse business was huge business until pretty much modern times.
So if you're not going to bathe for your own personal hygiene, at least do it for your deity.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it is interesting, because if you read, there are things in the Bible that even washing your feet, washing your hands, but I want to move forward though, because basically now like I said, every time I hear people complaining about the era that we live in and how it's we walk into our bathroom, we turn on a faucet, we've got hot water. We turn on a light, we've got instant light. We've got heat. We are so spoiled right now, and it's stuff that even 100 or so, maybe 150 years ago, you don't take that for granted. Just this convenience was a huge shift in the way people live.
You've got your 3 major milestones.
Okay.
Your number 1 milestone was a toilet.
Good point.
A flush toilet.
That's
big,
no kidding, man.
Big.
Sanitation.
We even have, the famous quote, if I wasn't the king, I'd rather be a plumber.
Right.
Because, plumbing.
Hey, everybody needs it.
Plumbing changed the safety of human existence in groups.
Right.
Number 2, basically in this order, we got hot water. Mm-hmm. And that suddenly, because of all the other implications of being able to heat water effectively, suddenly medicine takes a huge turn forward, because now we're able to actually clean things.
I never thought of the medical. That's a good point. You need hot water to sterilize.
The medical, the restaurant, the food service. You think about everything that suddenly went, oh, look, we have plenty of water, not just a pot of hot water.
Right.
And
Allan, I will say this. I feel like there is a different dynamic, obviously. You know, if you take a bath, if you're filthy, you've been roofing the house all day.
Right.
One of Jay Hill's guys, if he just sits in a bath, it's all floating around in there.
Right.
So a bucket of hot water or a big basin of hot water is not the same as moving hot water.
Correct.
That's what so that's another part of the revolution.
It's a whole big thing, because then you get over into Asian cultures where of bathhouses and hot water springs, or you go to Iceland where the hot water springs are a big thing, or we can just nip next door to our neighbor and go to Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And you have the hot spring experience right here, just adjacent to the Mid-South.
Yeah.
So all of this is happening, and then, of course, we're going to throw refrigerators in as that last thing. But so for the modern world, hot water is truly, honestly, a miracle. Memphis does not have any form of thermal spring.
Right.
Now, we've got great water. We have artesian wells. We have sand filtered. We have, honestly,
great water.
Some of the greatest water in the world, but it's not warm.
Yeah.
So here we go. Hot water tanks. They're dangerous. They can overpressurize. They can burst. So, I mean, these are safety concerns about having a big pressurized tank of hot water in your home.
Well, I know all about that, Allan, because we had one of our hoses. We bought I don't want to relive this nightmare, but I bought this is another lesson, folks. I bought, I had a new hot water heater, but I needed to replace the, the hoses that go in.
Right.
And I was like, there was there was like the $30 hose and the $60 hose, somewhere in that difference. Well, which one do you think I bought?
Well, you bought the $15 hose.
Well, whatever I bought had a defect in it, and one night in the middle of the night, it decided to burst, and that thing flooded. I mean, it didn't even take that long. It took 15 minutes, and I can tell you, it is under pressure, man.
It is a lot of water.
And it's going to do a lot of damage. So
we have gas-powered and electric-powered.
Yeah.
So as we've moved forward, now, all of a sudden, we're kind of faced with, when you say hot water heater, we're not just talking about a tank anymore. We have solar heaters, which can either generate electricity to heat your hot water, or solar routed heaters, which run water through solar banks that will heat the water for you. We have storage hot water tanks. I work with one of those at a facility, and we have 300 gallons of 168-degree water on standby for whoever needs it, whatever call comes in.
Right.
And now we have moved to the tankless hot water heaters.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that, Allan, because that's a different, I was thinking about the tankless water heater when we had that last power outage, because I heard so many people with problems where the pipe burst and everything. But the one thing I will say, we have a gas-powered water heater, and we don't lose hot water when the power goes out. But I don't know that that's reason enough to just stick with that. I mean, it's like, but I wonder if there's something, because when you talk about solar, I wonder if there's a future where solar could keep functioning even if the power goes out or something.
Well, I think where we're going to turn the real corner on this is going to be, and one of my favorite topics is going to be the house battery.
Big amen, brother. The house battery will represent the next paradigm shift.
That is going to be how we move from, what is the commercial? How to build your house from ancient times to modern. Mm-hmm. This is what's going to take us, honestly, into the next century.
Yeah,
the house battery changes everything.
Yeah.
Right now, personally, I'm still a fan of the hot water tank.
Yeah.
Tankless.
I'm leaning that way myself just for now. I'd like to move fully in the direction of tankless, but I'm not there yet.
Well, tankless needs special concerns when installing. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that's now kind of new is recirculated hot water throughout your building.
Right. Recirculating is a good point. Yeah. It can't just be stagnant. The
water is constantly moving, so you don't have the cool down time that you do in the average home.
Yep. Very interesting. We might wrap up a couple points with this, but Allan, we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're going overseas. We're going to go visit Japan.
Oh yes.
We have some interesting two stories regarding that.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Yeah, it's kind of a dated reference, Alan. Now there's three of us. Max is in here too, but I appreciate the effort. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our buddy Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. Or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like and check out all the action over there. Allan, we've been talking about revolutions, really. I mean, the revolution of hot water, the paradigm shift that represented. You mentioned, the paradigm shift of getting indoor plumbing, which, toilets and everything. And then let's steer into this, the revolution of refrigeration. So who better to talk about at this epoch than our good buddies at Brown Refrigeration?
Oh, yes.
Another sloppy segue, man. I'm just batting.
You're in the 250 range, Joe. That's all right.
But they are great people, and he is always up on the cutting edge of the latest technology in heating and air conditioning, and as well as cleaning the air in your home and giving you a smart app to basically manage all of those things with their smart home system. So Brown Refrigeration are the people to call whenever, even if you just need a simple tune-up on your system, because it's like a vehicle. You don't just wait till the thing dies, or you keep it tuned up, and it's going to be more efficient. So,
and now is the time of year to have them come out and give your system a pre-season check, tune up, cleaning, and be ready to face our summer.
Yeah, and let them inspect the outside and make sure you don't have weeds and things that are going to start growing into the coils and everything. Keep that thing clean and don't clutter around that. So they're just good people to call. They're fun to talk to, and you're in capable hands whenever you deal with them. So get in touch with the good people at Brown Refrigeration. You can call them directly at 901-362-1881 or go to brownref.com. Well, Allan, in a second, we're going to talk about this interesting story. It's called the Demon Stone of Japan. But I just want to say, we were talking, I just want to kind of wrap up this thought. We were talking about hot water heaters, which you and I are still kind of in the camp of, like, I have a gas hot water heater. Right. It doesn't really give me too many problems, and I kind of like that. I want to steer in the future maybe towards the tankless water heater or maybe one of these solar ones, but I feel like the tankless water heater, it's still more or less, in my mind, new technology, even though it's been around for 20-something years, but I feel like there's always a learning curve because, you and I were talking off the air about there's a lot of exposure with those things, and sometimes they're not installed correctly, maybe just because people aren't as familiar. Well, but I feel like they need to perfect that technology a little bit. So,
well, like I said, I saw one this week, and it had no insulation, no pipe wrap, nothing around it. It was installed against an exterior wall, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know everybody thinks this thing is hot water, but it's not until it's cold. So it's just pipes sitting on the wall.
Yeah, it's basically
okay.
If you look at it, it's not big. I like how small tankless water heater. Yes. But you're basically running water in. It gets hot. It runs it out. But at the same time, that means, like you said,
when it's not running,
right? It's just sort of sitting there.
It's just sitting there. So I think the thing that would make me happier is seeing better installations.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And maybe they go in the center of the house, or maybe they just need maybe the pipes need some better protection.
Yeah, it needs a lot of protection.
Yeah. So anyway, but we'll keep an eye on those things. But Allan, let's shift gears. We didn't get to your story. We're going overseas. We're going to talk Japan. Something interesting happened in Japan, I suppose. Max is perked up because There we go.
It reminded me of the Japanese Infinity Stone.
Oh, there you go. Okay, very good.
There's a small town called Nassau, Nasu, Nasu, and it has in it what has been called for many, many years the Killing Stone.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was a demon stone. Well, I guess they're both bad. So,
it's because it's supposed to hold the evil spirit of, and I'm going to massacre this. I'm going to look to Max to correct me. It's Tamamo no Me, which was a nine-tailed fox demon who attempted to overthrow the emperor back in 1107. Obviously, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And her vengeful spirit was tied to a very large piece of volcanic rock.
There's a term for a vengeful spirit, actually. It's called a mononoke.
Okay.
Okay.
And I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
Put a TA in front of it, and you got her name. There you go.
All
right. Now, this stone has been on this hillside for, honestly, decades, hundreds of years.
How big is this thing?
It's not a small rock. It's,
no kidding.
I mean, it's like the size of a early electric car.
Okay.
This is a pretty big rock.
All right.
And they've had a big rope tied around it so that everybody knew which one it was. And they have a little platform for people who could walk up and look at it, but not touch, because, of course, bad things would happen. And it was just not that long ago, I think it was March 5th, a visitor to the park walked over, and much to their shock and surprise, the stone is broken open.
Okay, so
like a 30-40% of the stone has broken away.
Okay, so my immediate thought was, Allan, I don't know what the temperatures are like at this place, but my immediate thing is, okay, well, water somehow got in and expanded and cracked it.
It's kind of like Memphis. They had some freezing temperatures, a little freezing rain, and the scientific explanation is water seeped into the cracks, froze, popped it, and the rock has now been split.
You know, it never ceases to amaze me how powerful water is. You know, you could have a slow drip, and over centuries, it'll bore a hole through a rock. It'll expand and crack a car engine or something. But man, so it took out the demon stone, huh?
So yes, it is now broken.
Watch out for Thanos.
Yeah, no kidding.
So to add to our, now keep in mind, for it to have broken now, it had to have been cracked over the last couple of years.
Sure. Yeah.
Which, just adding to the legends of 2020 and 2021.
The prophecies have been fulfilled.
Yeah.
I was about to say, Allan, this has nothing, I don't even know what this has to do with home improvement. We're probably going to get an earful later about discussing this. But I am curious, did they view this as the demon getting revenge, or has the demon been conquered now? Like, in other words, is this a benign stone now? Because it reminds me of like a Horcrux in Harry Potter. You know, once he stabbed the diary of Tom Riddle, it was powerless at that point.
Right.
So, spoiler too, if you haven't read the Sorcerer's Stone. But anyway,
well, you have one of three choices here, but at the end of the day, I'm going to go with you, and I'm going to say I'm tying this to DIY.
Okay.
Because I'm bringing up again the power of water.
Well, there you go.
The freezing, drying of an application of water, all three of its states, has an amazing amount of power.
I got it right here, Allan. Let's just to salvage this segment. Imagine your foundation.
Exactly.
We've seen, Allan, you and I have seen foundations where literally it might be that somebody's home is almost sliding down a hill, you could say. There may be a separation in there, and water is going to, if it gets in, it is just going to continue to eat away and separate, and
for our listeners out west, so for folks around Amarillo, where you get to Midland, Odessa, Texas, or further out, they go through desiccation.
Yeah,
they have so little water that the soil pulls away from the foundation, and the problem is winter comes along. Now you get rain and snow, it gets down in there, it freezes and expands. To give you an idea of the expansion power, 8 inches of snow is roughly 1 inch of rain.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
in terms of moisture.
So when you talk about water freezing, it expands, and its strength knows no bounds.
Yeah.
So if it can split a great big giant rock, imagine what that excess water could be doing around your home.
Yeah, it's a good point, because it's a constant battle, and like you said, you might even be living, because when I lived in San Diego, it literally rained like twice a year. barely barely ever rained. But the lack of moisture is also an issue, because when it comes, I just remember the streets would flood. It was nuts. So it did all its erosion power in one
fast.
day. But water is it's a constant battle between keeping dry or keeping it
warm, keeping it dry, keeping it where we want it.
Yeah.
Water likes to go where water wants to go. I live in an over and under, and if that sump pump ever goes out, I'm losing whatever's downstairs.
Yeah. It's pretty intense, but we're going to be following the story because I'm going to be curious what the new legends will be around the Demon Stone of Japan.
I can't wait.
You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to stay in theme, Alan. We're going to talk about the Japanese giant joro spider, which is invading America.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Did somebody say boom?
News Talk 98.9, The Roar.
I love my new assistant.
No, that's what happened with that water heater.
No kidding. You do not want that a plumber to have that attitude.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from darkoakmedia.com and our buddy Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989 and go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like and check out all the action over there, including our must-have item of the week, which I've already posted, and our, you can check out all of our past shows. Allan usually links it up there. Allan's a YouTube man. He likes to watch our show on YouTube, which, have fun with that. I'm a Spotify man. I like, listening to our past shows. However you enjoy it is fine. Just join the Tool Talk Radio family and make sure you subscribe and give us a nice 5-star review.
Yep, keeps those algorithms happy.
Oh yeah, Max has got a couple. I guess we triggered some people, Allan. We're gonna put a pin in our discussion about the giant joro spiders because we got a couple of texts we're gonna address in a second. Before we do that, though, I want to address something important. If you're remodeling your kitchen or your bathroom, it is an important undertaking.
Oh, yes.
Let's put it this way. It's nothing to just jump into willy-nilly, and you don't just take the first estimate you get, because it's amazing. You get 5 estimates and you're going to be shocked at how much the price varies in that, but you want to have somebody that understands the entire process. And we wholeheartedly endorse Tri-State Interiors. Mike Serafolian, he runs a really great operation over there. They're all about quality, keeping a low overhead, locally, I should say regionally sourcing. They source as much as possible within a couple 100 miles for all of their cabinet work and stonework and hardware and everything. And also this principle they have of not beginning any work until they have all of those materials in their warehouse ready to go. So it goes one step to the next. So it's as quickly and efficiently as you can get it. And their 3D renderings, which are great because the design process is really fun. You design everything on the computer. You get a whole 360-degree tour of your kitchen, and you can download it and share it with people and make alterations that way.
That's the biggie.
Yes.
You didn't like the blue, try the green.
Yeah,
right.
And it's just a click of the mouse, and then that way you get everything mapped out, and you get a much better idea of what it's going to look like. So get in touch with Mike Serafolian. You can call him directly at 901-409-1333 or go to tristateinteriorsllc.com. All right, Allan, we were talking. We were going to get ready to talk Critter Wars. We might have to put a pin in that for a minute because, Max, you said a couple people weighed in on our text line.
Yes, we have one from 901 Steve. It says, water has a lot of liquidity.
Okay, keep the dad.
All right,
So, call in with your dad jokes by all means.
I'm going to like that, but you know what? Because of water, there are a lot of businesses out there that have liquidity.
Yeah, good
Trust
point.
me.
All right, but next time have the rim shot ready. Okay, way to go, Steve. So, all right, what else we got, Max?
And then we got one from Rick. It says, have you given it a thought that with the big push for a green environment and doing away with fossil fuels, the next thing will be all electric homes? My home is all electric, and my bill is out of sight.
Okay. Now, out of sight, if he was a hippie in the 70s, that would be good, right? But to me, it sounds like it's expensive.
No, it's 2022. He's coughing up some money to MLGNW.
Well, I mean, we're not going to go that direction. I guess the thing is, when I think more about solar, I think of the whole thing. You mentioned it earlier, battery technology. When you start storing the power, to me, that's the revolution.
We're going to have to think about technology in a different way.
Yeah.
When we're going to have to trust a smart grid, we're going to have something to where, and there's big things are on the way because we already have solar energy generating windows. And I just read an article, Jay Hill sent me an article from GAF about solar roofing.
Jay Hill, gosh, is this confidential? I don't think it is. I thought he told me he went to a roofing seminar to get schooled on the proper installation of solar shingles.
I don't know about that. I know
they're almost here.
This is several different companies. GAF, of course, Elon Musk company has been working on this for a while. Mm-hmm. So we've been hearing about these additional sources of green energy that are coming to your home. And Joe, and I think you and I both actually agree on something, that the home battery system, the home power control system, is what's going to make the big difference.
Yeah, and I think, and we should say too, in fairness, battery technology it's still, there is a carbon footprint. It uses,
it does.
It's not as clean. It's still, leaves its mark. However, it's going in the right direction. You got to let the technologies evolve and everything. But if you're new to Tool Talk Radio, one of the ways we describe it is just think of your laptop computer. You plug it in for a bit, the battery is charged, you unplug it, and you might go hours just using your computer off of that battery charge. Well, if you started to apply that to your home where maybe half the day you're not even on the grid, you're just using your battery power, imagine what that does for your utility bill. Oh. And imagine if the solar shingles and solar windows are pumping in. You may never get on the grid. At some point, we may have our own grid.
Your house is recharging the battery by itself.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think some of the I've heard arguments where people will say, well, when we lost power, what did all those people with electric cars do and things like that or whatever? And I don't think it's not like you just turn off one technology and turn on the other. I think you have to let technologies evolve, but they're not going to evolve unless you start taking some calculated, risks with these things. The electric car of today is going to be a lot different than the electric car 20 years from now. If it's even it may be solar, it may be hydro powered. We don't know. It may be magnet powered, Alan.
Well,
but you gotta let these things.
Bullet trains run on magnets. I can't tell you we're not going to have magnetic cars.
Right,
it could happen.
But I think, not to get on my soapbox, I don't even know if this is a soapbox, Alan, but it's always occurred to me, I feel like at some point we got to get away from it, like I just think of oil. There's a lot of oil in the earth. To me, it's probably there for a reason. Like, I don't think it's a good reason to, I'm just thinking of our body. Our bodies have liquids and we have fats and things. I always think of the oil. Maybe that's like a lubricant for the tectonic plates of the earth or something. I just don't think it's a good thing to just continually suck out all of the minerals and, oil and everything from the earth. I think
we run out.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So why shouldn't we start getting away from that now to, because in future generations, they're really going to pay the price. So,
all right, well, I'll bring up a salt dome collapse in Louisiana because of mining and other processes. A dome was emptied. The pressure inside of it became less than the water pressure above it.
Right. And
when it collapsed in, it sucked in a pretty big part of the area around it down 500 feet.
Yeah, no kid. You talk about a sinkhole.
This happened to happen in water, so eventually it filled up, and now it's just a big lake-looking thing.
Right.
But you get over to Florida where the water tables raise and lower drastically, and I mean, how many times have we seen pictures of, that car lot disappearing down in the sinkhole?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's welcome. If you want to get into advanced geology and fluid dynamics, we can, but I agree with Joe that at some point in time, we're going to run out of a particular resource.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to move on to something else.
Yeah. And so, so for all the scoffers out there that are saying, well, batteries pollute and they do, I don't disagree.
Yes, they do.
But at least it's a step towards something better. And, I feel like
there.
you gotta do that. And, we don't innovate overnight. It doesn't just, you don't just snap a finger and all of a sudden everything, even the light bulb and stuff. How many years did it take before all of us had lights in our house? It wasn't overnight.
Well, it's not over. That battle's still going on as I was changing out bulbs yesterday from fluorescent curly Qs.
Yeah.
That just a couple of years ago we had changed out from incandescent, and we were putting in new LED bulbs.
Yeah. Well, guys, we love getting these messages on our Tool Talk Radio.
Texting them in. We
the
love
Big M
text.
Roofing and Remodeling Hotline. Yeah, the texts work. They
In fact,
work
we got
great.
another text from 901 Steve. It says solar is the best way to go because it's so easy to get electricity, but the cost is so high nobody can afford it.
At the moment, Steve, I don't know that nobody can afford it, but we got it. Some people can't afford it, Steve, and I think that's what we've got to do. It's just like think of the VCR, perfect example of technology. I think weren't those things like $1,000 when they came out?
I sold them when
in
they
the
were like
$70s
and $1,400.
Then you could get them for $50 at Fred's or something,
Yes.
So hang
Then
in there.
they couldn't give them away finally. So.
Yeah, so I don't disagree, Steve, but that it always, the better the technology, the cheaper it eventually gets.
And the more ubiquitous it becomes as the next house you buy. One of the big selling features 10 years from now may be that you have a new electric roof.
Yeah. Well, Allan, we got a lot to get to, so we're going to call an audible here. Really quickly, we're going to shift gears, and we're just going to, because our must-have item of the week is pretty direct, and it's pretty quick. So tell people what is being held up right now.
Dun, dun, dun. It is affectionately known as a USB or jump drive.
It's a flash drive. It can fit in your pocket, and people are like, "Well, big deal. Everybody's got flash drives."
These are a huge deal.
Well, the reason I put this up on the page, Allan, is because I've learned. I used to have flash drives, and they held everything. They might hold stuff, pictures of a Spider-Man, or they might hold information about my contracting work. And when I go to find something, it's just a big mess. So I've gotten to the point where, flash drives are like $10. I recommend that if you've got anything, for your home, not instead of storing files and files of paper and receipts and everything, put all your information on a flash drive. It's portable, and that way it's really easy to reference if you've got a contracting business and you've got to save invoices and things like that. I'm just a big fan of an individualized flash drive. How's that? Is that a word? But
yeah. Color. Well, the nice thing is you can get them in all different kinds of colors, sizes, plastic covers. Wide variety of sizes. And if you want to talk about a technological miracle, the fact that you can put that much data on
still
something
amazing.
That small
I still don't
absolutely astounding.
I'll never understand how they work, but I do understand how handy they are. You can put audio, you can put video, you can put files, but I like the notion of and if you want to really just play it safe, just duplicate it. Get two flash drives. The odds of both of them just dying are pretty, pretty extreme.
Pretty remote.
And we talk about going green. That's less paper because back in the day, you know how it is, Allan. You'd have just stacks of receipts, or you have stacks of files with, all of your paint colors or all of the whatever information about your home. Well, if you can just throw that on a little flash drive, your life gets more streamlined. But I use it a lot for my contracting work, too, because I like to have one designated file, and if I've got to look something up about a customer from 5 years ago, it's like, boom, it's right there.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah, so technology's not all bad, but I
was designing computers when the 40 megabyte hard drive came out.
Yeah, 40 megabyte.
And we were excited. And I'm sitting here right now with a terabyte USB drive in my pocket.
Yeah.
That cost, like you said, $10.
That thing, that thing
absolutely astounding.
That thing that you're carrying around your pocket probably would have been the equivalent of what it took to get people to the moon. All the data that's on there is about equivalent to that. So.
Yeah, this is easily equivalent to a space shuttle.
Yeah. But Steve, so 901 Steve's kind of fired up today. He's got some ideas.
Good topics.
Allan, let's see. I think we definitely got to hit our critter wars when we come back because it's backed up and the squirrels are on the rampage at this job. This job, the one I'm at that I've been at for the last month, with this big giant brick wall with this screen and porch, and now the squirrels fighting back. It's like just the gift that keeps on giving. We're just getting all sorts of great content out of that. So anyway, Allan, the first hour of Tool Talk Radio, it's in the can, man. But stay tuned. Hour 2 is coming up. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from darkoakmedia.com and our buddy Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like. And go check us out on our platforms of whatever your platform of preference is. You can go to Spotify, go to YouTube. I think we're on others as well, Allan. But just wherever you go, make up things about us and say nice things. Even if you got to lie, give us a 5-star review, We'll it'll help the algorithm.
Yeah,
so.
The important thing is you can take us with you.
Yeah, and it's fun because now we're starting to get word from people that listen from other parts of the world, which is interesting. I'm always interested, and in fairness, Allan, I listen to podcasts from other parts of the world. There's some really interesting ones.
We have
out
a
there,
growing audience in the UK, so hello to all of you. Of course, we have our ever-growing contingent in the Dominican Republic.
Right.
So it's kind of like, all right, guys, how you doing?
Yeah. So, Jose said we can stay there if we visit.
We have places to stay. We do. So welcome. We love being in the big DM.
Yeah.
So.
Allan, and shortly we've got our friend Bobbi Wilkerson coming in. She's a designer for Shelf Genie, and she's sort of a Renaissance person, you could say. She's a pilot. She's been in. She's very well qualified, and she's a very dynamic.
So she's
person.
As crazy as I am.
Well, I don't know, but no, I think she's not a better person than you are, Allan.
Well, I didn't say she wasn't a better person. I said she's as crazy as I am.
She's maybe she's gonna join us shortly. But hey, before we get to that, Allan, this is something that really intrigued me from last week. This is a Critter Wars situation.
Oh, they are out this year, aren't they?
We've got a few. Wow. We've got a few Critter Wars situations to do, but this giant spider invasion.
Trichophilia clavata. Hello,
okay, talk to me,
our buddy. Trichophilia clavata, better known as the joro spider. This thing is native to Korea, Taiwan, China, areas like that. However,
I thought you said it was a Japanese spider.
Well, and is named for Japan. It's its home turf, but it's found throughout the East.
All right.
However, since about 2013, they started showing up in northern Georgia and parts of South Carolina. Now, this isn't really, big news until you realize this thing is the size of your hand. This is a big spider.
Wait, are they coming over like on shipping containers or something like that?
That is how it is suspected, considering where they popped up first would have been a big import-export area.
Mm-hmm.
And they think it came over with, something came along in the plants. And now we have basically... body-wise, a 3.5 to 4 inch long yellow banded spider with
that's pretty big.
Legs big enough to wrap around the palm of your hand.
Okay, Allan, several questions emerge here. Are these things poisonous? Like, how deadly are these things?
They are harmless to humans. They have very tiny little fangs.
Okay.
They're not good
Does it
news.
hurt if they bite you?
No, they're basically harmless to humans.
Okay, well,
they're
Allan,
bad news for mosquitoes and bugs.
do they want to eat so they'll eat, it sounds like they could eat a mouse the way they,
Well, it's, all right, what these are, very similar to our garden spider.
Okay.
They're known for big webs, and they eat a lot of insects. The other disconcerting habit about the joro spider is they're big into ballooning.
What's that?
Well, that's where the spider decides it wants to go someplace else.
Yeah.
And it sprays out yards and yards and yards of silk out into the wind. And when enough silk is out there, it will lift the spider off the ground and float it to someplace else.
So it's a slower version of how Peter Parker goes around New York, basically. It's
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, Allan, I could see several issues with this. For one thing, if this thing lands on your hand, you're not going to be, especially like if you're driving the car,
right.
It might be a deadly spider when you swerve off. However, if this thing starts eating or getting into a turf war with some of the established, wildlife we've got here, it sounds like it could disrupt things. I don't know, man.
All right, well, this of the things that could invade us is probably one of the more innocuous. This is not a big murder hornet that's going to sting you or eat all the honeybees or something like that.
Okay.
It is a big spider. It does balloon. It's one of these things, as we used to say about tarantulas back in Texas, it's not going to hurt you, but you will probably hurt yourself.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
So if you walk out back into your backyard and you get wrap one of these big old webs around your head, you're going to learn kung fu real fast.
So it's a gentle giant of an insect.
Of all of the things we could be invaded by, this one's more of a curiosity than an actual real threat.
Okay, so
but it's big. The big thing is people are going to walk out in their yards, and this is going to be all over the South. They're predicting a very wide spread of them this year. So it is very possible, if you're listening in Mississippi or maybe even in Memphis, you're going to see some really big critters.
Okay. All right. Well, Allan, we got to be very quick here because, what did I do? I just hit my button. Anyway, the squirrels are getting on my nerves now. I'm on a job, folks.
Fighting back, man.
I'm building a patio cover for somebody, and the squirrels are not, the squirrels that are being pushed out of their home, basically, they had made a nest up in the rafters, and I've closed that nest. I've closed them out. I've put up barricades. I've blocked them out. Well, they started chewing into the wood. I put this nice brand new wood up, and I'm gonna have to. I'm not gonna go for the nuclear option. The homeowner said. She goes, you can go Caddyshack on this thing. I don't care. But I'm trying to do the more humane thing. So, Allan, I'm going to incorporate your trick, which we highly recommend. Take cayenne pepper.
Yes.
I'm going to take some cayenne pepper and mix it into like a little cup full of paint and paint over the areas that are the most vulnerable, you could say. And I'll report back and let you know how that goes. But the squirrels, it's funny, Al, it almost looks like they think it's chewing gum or something. That new wood seems very appealing to them.
It's fresh and tasty.
It's still got a little moisture in it, probably. So it hasn't hardened in the sun yet, and they're just So, but I'll keep you posted because I sense this is going to be an ongoing job. But
it's nesting season, so folks, watch around your house. They're trying to get in.
Absolutely.
Trust me.
All right, well, we're going to turn the corner, Allan. We're going to talk about things that are going on inside your home that are pretty exciting with Shelf Genie of the Mid-South and our friend Bobbi Wilkerson, who's one of the designers. So we'll talk to her when we come back. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
The Emperor does not share your optimistic appraisal of the situation, and he is most displeased with your apparent lack of progress.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of
You
Memphis.
work for some of the most interesting people,
I thought
Joe.
you broke that contract. I'm not working for that guy anymore. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max behind the glass, and our special guest, Bobbi Wilkerson, who's going to be with us in just a second. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, and go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like. And the text line has been lighting up. So if you're somebody out there and maybe you're interested in how to improve your kitchen or your bathroom cabinet storage. We're going to get into that and giving you easier access. We've got our friend Bobbi Wilkerson here from Shelf Genie of the Mid-South. So, Bobbi, you guys are really busy these days, aren't you?
Yes, we've been very, very busy.
Okay. That's
okay. I'm gonna say, all right, well, let's start off with the home show.
Yeah.
And you saw a lot of people at this
did.
event.
Very busy. It was comparable to Vesta this
Wow.
year. So yes.
Vesta's a big show for you guys, isn't
Yes.
it? So, well, you're a designer, and so I happen to know some of this stuff about Shelf Genie, Allan, because I do my research and everything. But for one thing, you don't just say, okay, welcome to Shelf Genie, you're hired. There's training. There's a Shelf Genie school, right? I mean, this is a pretty involved process to become a member, right?
Absolutely. We one thing that I love about Shelf Genie is that it's an American-made product, and one of the products is called the Classic Series, and it's made outside of Birmingham. And the other series, the Designer Series, is made in Pennsylvania. And so, yes, so our training is local. And actually, we are under the umbrella of a company called Neighborly. And this year's conference and training will be in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, fun. So, yeah, because I know that there's things in Atlanta. It's all in the region. And, Allan, what I like about Shelf Genie, it was started by a carpenter. So,
oh, well, there you go.
Over 20 years ago. But, if you're new to the show and you're new about hearing what Shelf Genie does, tell us about why Shelf Genie has become so popular and what services you provide for homeowners. So,
well, for several reasons. The first reason that comes to mind is being able to age in place. As we see a growing number of baby boomers in the market, we want to be able to age in place. And that provides, Shelf Genie provides accessibility and organization for that market group. And let's go back for a minute. For example, I had a customer that had like 5 back surgeries.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And was not really mobile. She said a delightful little comment she made was that she had to borrow a child to get her crock pot out from under the cabinet. And so with that, we were able to bring her crock pot to her by this series of glide outs with a really heavy duty 120 or a 200-pound rail system.
Wow.
We're able to bring out what's in that dark hole in that cabinet and bring it out to the client. So it's transformative on so many levels.
Yeah, because like a pantry or especially the lower cabinets, I've noticed that there's for one thing, there's either this stuff in the back that you don't even remember what's in there because you can't reach it, or maybe you only use it once a year, or there's things where people don't even realize what they have in there food-wise, and so they go to the store and they buy something that they've already got 3 of in the cabinet. And also, there's all sorts of dead space in a cabinet. If you just open it up and you look at all the blank space that could be taken advantage of, right? So.
Not to mention the lovely little half shelf in the back.
Oh,
that that you're standing on your head or doing yoga to get back there to that bowl or whatever.
It's funny because, Allan, I've talked to a lot of people at Shelf Genie, and whenever they use that, whenever they refer to the half shelf in the back, there's always this sort of edge to their voice and a certain disdain.
Disdain of it.
Yeah, because you're not a fan of the half shelf.
No, I'm not a fan of the half shelf. Well, and what's neat is not only are we able to provide more accessibility, but we are able to actually give people real estate.
Sure.
Because of that half shelf, that glide out comes all the way to the front now.
Right.
And provides that extra space.
It makes a big difference. I mean, because for one thing, you want as much storage as possible, but it's like, I feel like it improves your lifestyle for one thing. If you just simply glide out and grab that pan rather than moving 10 different pans to get to it or whatever. I mean, we're big fans of time. Time is a commodity too. So it's just a matter of if your kitchen becomes something where you can get things done quicker. That's a big lifestyle improvement. So.
And let's face it, the kitchen is the heart of the home. That's where people are spending most of their time, generally speaking. And for it to be an area of frustration is not a delightful way to spend your life.
Yeah. And I mean, let's face it, like you said, and it's even in the last 20 years, even architecture has kind of reflected that, because we remember back when the kitchen was over here and the dining room's over here. Well, now the kitchen's in the center of the home, and you have these open floor plans, and the kids are sitting at the counter doing their homework, and they're watching the in the den and everything. So it is the center of the home. So
yes,
but
I think there was a lot of stuff left over from the pre-safety days where the kitchen was honestly in the backyard. Because that's where the fire was. That's where everything was. And they were used to, and Joe and I usually refer to this as like legacy thinking. It's kind of like, well, this is just the way it's always been. And then somebody kind of went, well, we can bring it into the house. And there was a huge fad for a long time of the galley kitchen.
Right.
Which is a very narrow kitchen. It's kind of like it's on a boat. And for the one person in the kitchen, everything's reachable and accessible. How many people have one person in the kitchen anymore?
I mean, kids are one,
everybody is through the kitchen. So the kitchen became this disaster. And I saw a house the other day, Joe, reminded me for all the world of one of my old favorite restaurants.
Right.
It was like Macaroni Grill, because you could see the entire kitchen. I mean, they were part of the show. They're part of the floor show.
Right.
And the way the kitchen was laid out, it was against the far wall of the great room, had the big island out in the center, had the seating around it and everything. And the kitchen, for all the world, looked like part of the entertainment. And the person I was talking to, which you got a referral on, was whining that they love their kitchen. They hate their cabinets.
Well, that's a good point too, because the other thing, you had mentioned aging in place and everything. So I guess I guess that comes to maybe you don't want to have to move out or get assisted help. But the other part of that is families are constantly evolving. So the way your cabinets are going to be used when your kids are 5 are different than when they're 15 or 20, right? So
absolutely. And I've even had customers. We've organized spaces specifically for their children, for their little crafts and things like that. But how wonderful it is that as those children grow up and leave the home, that space is still functional.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to imagine the kids probably really like Shelf Genie stuff because it's cool. I mean, it is neat. You it's finger touch. You just glide these things out. You're getting all the way to the back.
Work.
Yeah.
So.
But I was talking to somebody at one of the home shows, Bobby, and they were like, "Well, why don't all cabinets just come with these things already installed?" Well, everybody uses their kitchen differently. There is not just one. Even among all of your installations, every one is custom, right? So
absolutely, and that's the beauty to me of Shelf Genie. It's not just a product; it's an experience. We offer a free consultation where we come into your home and we look at the flow of your kitchen. We provide organizational tips and suggestions, and then we look at the nuts and bolts of the interior of the cabinets and how they're going to be used, and the pantries and bathrooms we do as well.
Yeah, because, it's always useful to have a fresh set of eyes on things. You talk about legacy thinking, and Allan, I think all of us are victims of that at some point because if your house has been the same for 15 years or so, you just always assume, well, the couch has to be over here and this thing has to be over there. Well, when you get somebody that comes in and they're like, well, you've got this whole section here. You've got, I love these blind corner treatments that you do. What about those?
That's one of my favorite things to talk about because everybody that has a corner cabinet has this deep, we call it the black hole.
Right.
Where things go in, you never see them again. Things that you got when you were married 50 years ago are still in there. And so with that solution, we have a glide out that is a travel over glide out. So you have a glide out that pulls to the front and a glide out that comes from the right or the left back corner that travels over the rails of the glide out in the front, bringing everything in that black hole to the front area where you can easily access it.
It's cool, and it's like that's so there's no area of the cabinets that hasn't been thought out, and there is really no dead spot anymore, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And I've seen you all have the coolest Lazy Susans. Are they even called a Lazy Susan when they have all these complex shelves and glide outs? And
no, they're no longer called Lazy Susans. They're actually called glide arounds.
Glide arounds.
They were engineered by the Shelf Genie technicians and engineers to be a bit different from what a Lazy Susan is.
And they fit because what's neat is you work with cabinets of every style, of every age, of every size. So if you're thinking, well, my cabinets are a little dated, it doesn't matter. There's a solution, right? So
it does not matter.
How do people get in touch with Shelf Genie?
Well, they can call me directly if they would like. My number is 662-541-3770. Or we also have a local number, 901-422-8225. And then there's also a 1-800 number.
Okay. We'll give that out in a second. So you're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. It's a lot of fun. We're talking to Bobbi Wilkerson from Shelf Genie of the Mid-South, and we're going to continue the conversation when we come back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I thought I told you. I do the cutting around here.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
You don't want to get into a fight with guys trying to fight over who gets to use the chainsaw. But anyway, welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, and our pal Max behind the glass, and our special guest Bobbi Wilkerson, who's a designer for Shelf Genie of the Mid-South. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like and check out all the action over there. Just for kicks, you can also go to tooltalkradio.com. We don't often
You can indeed
mention that. There's a lot of ways to get in touch, but we join the Tool Talk family. You know, it's a big community.
We can honestly say now we're global.
I guess, yeah, we can say that.
It's kind of scary.
Hey, Bobbi, it's real quick. I feel like it almost behooves us to give out a few. You know, you all are a very dynamic company. Shelf Genie in the Mid-South. You show up all over town. And that's how we met you. We met you at the Vesta Home Show. And I've never seen a group of people who care or who are so passionate about something they do. And I've rarely seen people get as excited as the booth that you guys set up. You know, you set up these booths, and it's just lines of people coming in. What is the? I don't know, man. There's some magic over there that you guys have, but
well, they don't call us Shelf Genie for nothing.
Yeah, but
well, what is the when you're out on the shows? What is the biggest ooh and ah moment for most people at the booth?
Yeah, why are they dropping in exactly? So,
well, I believe people are. Well, in this time that, it's so funny thinking about Cindy buying this franchise, and we were talking about, are you crazy doing this in the middle of a pandemic? But people were spending a lot of time in their homes and looking at areas to be able to not only organize, but beautify areas of their home. And just like we talked about earlier, the kitchen is the heart of the home now. It's no longer just a functional place. It's a place of beauty, of family gathering together, and functionality. So I guess to go back to your question, just looking at the whole aspect of organization and saying, like, with a pantry, you've got this big open space. A funny story. A customer asked me one time if I'd ever seen black ketchup. And I was like, no, I've never seen that. And she pulls out a plastic container of ketchup that was black.
Huh.
And I was like, it had been in there so long that it had turned black because it was in the. I know.
I thought it was like a Burger King promotion or something.
I was hoping
Black
it was a Burger
magic,
King.
black magic. Yeah. And so so it had been in the back of her pantry for years that she didn't know that she had, and she kept buying ketchup, and it's in the front. And so
thank goodness.
I know, right? And so I mean,
jeez,
it's actually a way to save money. That you have all this expired material, ingredients, groceries in the back because you never see what's back there. You don't have access to what's back there.
You know what else? You made me think of something too, because usually, I don't know what your cabinets look like, Alan, but you open a cabinet door, you want to get the stuff out of there as quickly as possible and shut it because it's nothing to write home about. It's everything's all over. I've seen some of, like, for example, your spice racks. You open it up and it's almost like a work of art the way the everything's laid out, and it's kind of, I don't know, it makes it where you just, I don't know, you may want to leave those cabinets open for a while, but it is a sort of a thing of beauty the way everything just looks neat and organized, and maybe it inspires the kids to keep it that way.
Mm-hmm. And it is a thing of beauty. It's select Baltic birch, which is a beautiful wood.
Wow. And
the designer series actually comes in colors and stains to match what you were saying, that open pantry, open cabinet with the scoop fronts and soft close rail system. And so, it's beautiful. So I think people, when they see us at the booth, because our setup is one that the cabinets don't have doors on them.
Right.
And so they just see the glide out. They see that organization. They just, it's an awe moment.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, because we've seen you at different, like I said, we've seen you at the Vesta Home Show. We've seen you at the different, and it's almost like, Shelf Genie is almost like the party booth. Like, you go there and it's well lit. But there's nonstop action over there, and it's and the energy. I don't know, Alan. I don't want to make a bigger deal out of this, but it is sort of noteworthy how just excited people get, and maybe it goes back to what you said, Bobbi, about everybody lives in the kitchen. I mean, and if it suddenly becomes a place that's if it's a stressful area, but then you change that and make it kind of an exciting area to be in, I guess that changes the whole dynamic. So.
Well, it's one thing to consider, Joe, because obviously I do a lot more cooking than you do.
Yeah, I cook nothing, so yeah.
So, once you get your kitchen designed the way you want it, it makes a huge difference. If the knives are where you want them and the spices are where you want them, and you keep mentioning aging in place, and the one thing I want to point out to everybody, really honestly, if you're truly honest about yourself, your lifestyle changes every 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
The kids change, things grow, somebody moves in, somebody moves out, of how you cook, what you cook, of how you entertain. All of these things undergo tremendous changes. And as you go through these changes, you basically need a different house. So when you start looking at your pantries, what worked 10 years ago might not be so hot now. Or like you said, you got somebody with storage in the back they haven't reached in 5 years, 10 years. Mm-hmm. How long has it been since you got into that bottom? I always love that thing in a lot of kitchens that have the bottom counter with a piece of counter that goes back 4 more feet than you could ever reach.
Yeah, the blind corner.
That's not just a blind corner. That's a cave. You could have things living back up in there and not know it.
Is that your favorite? I was curious because you do this all day. You design treatments for people. You go in, you analyze. Is that your favorite installation?
Yes, I love the blind corner. It's just it's like magical.
Yeah, you're taking a dead space that's pretty much useless, right?
That people think, just forget about it.
It's a lot of space too. If you look in there, I mean,
let's say it's 4 to 8 cubic feet. I mean, that's like it's almost the size of a small refrigerator.
Mm-hmm. And just about everybody has one.
Yeah, that's not being used. It's as a person who does a lot of this with the cabinetry and things like that, it's always shocking that especially when you're clearing someone's home out, and you reach back in there and you pull this thing out, and somebody goes, "Oh, I haven't seen that thing in." And then they insert a ridiculous number of years.
Right.
And you're like, 15 years when you lost this? And,
Now,
I thought my kids took it. It's been underneath there this whole time.
Oh, yeah.
So,
you find that wedding gift that you got 20 years ago. Yeah. But, Bobbi, also, it's not just cabinets. And, of course, we should mention, too, bathroom cabinets as well. But it's also... some people's pantry, it's just a regular small closet. So this could be a pantry or a linen closet, right? I mean,
yes. And once again, it's all about getting what's in the back to you to be accessible. And a couple of things you mentioned about the fact that our lifestyles change every 10 years. That's true. And I look at Shelf Genie as a bit of like the bones of accessibility. And that even though your lifestyle, your children moving out, aging into teenage years, or lifestyle changes as far as eating habits, you've still got those great bones with Shelf Genie. You can still change that lifestyle, but you still got the great bones of accessibility.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, hey, tell us again, how do people get in touch with Shelf Genie if they want to meet you or Cindy or have one of the designers come out and give them a free consultation? So.
Well, the local number is 901-422-8225. And please tell them that you heard it on Tool Talk.
Okay, good point.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's interesting. And also, I think when we come back, Allan, what we'll probably mention is the fact that they're everywhere. They're all over town. Shelf Genie, if you're having an event, they're probably going to be there. So we might give out a little your tour dates. How's that?
Oh, that'd be great. We've got several to share.
Yeah, because like I said, you need to meet them in person. I've never met people that care as much about what they do as Shelf Genie in the Mid-South. So aside from Allan and I, we care. Don't roll your eyes at me. Yeah. Anyway, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Do you know what happens to a butter-based frosting after 6 decades in a poorly ventilated English basement?
I guess I hadn't...
Well, I have a feeling what you are about to go through is punishment enough.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Allan, I'll give you $20 if you finish that piece of cake, man. So
you're going to lose some money.
Anyway, welcome back. Just wash it down with a little Mountain Dew. It'll kill all that bacteria. Right. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from darkoakmedia.com, and our buddy Max behind the glass, and our friend Bobbi Wilkerson, who's one of the designers for Shelf Genie of the Mid-South. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989, like our buddy Steve has been doing. Boy, 901 Steve is on a tear this morning. He's full of opinions, isn't he, Max? So anyway, he's having fun. And plus, if you text us, even if you text us when we're not on the air, we'll get the message and we'll read it when we come back, next week and everything. But hey, we've got quite a bit to get to. We're going to jump back in with our conversation with Bobbi in a second. But Allan, before that, what's going on this week with darkoakmedia.com?
Well, at darkoakmedia.com, sadly, we're going to say goodbye to Mr. Billy Roberts, who passed away this past week.
Oh, gotcha.
Billy was one of the very first television psychics. Hung around with people like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and the Queen of England, all that kind of good stuff.
Oh, that? Okay, yeah, I've actually heard of him.
So, well, yeah, Billy has. We're waiting on messages back. So if anybody is going to come back with us, but people can pop onto darkoakpress.com and they can look at the shows we did with Billy, where he gets to tell lots and lots of great stories.
Is he allowed to do that? I mean, is he? Well, the good news about somebody like him is you'll be getting future content with him, right? I mean,
that's what my hope is.
Once you tune in and get on his frequency, he's
right.
going to be he's going to be broadcasting still, even from beyond.
That is what we certainly hope. But he was a fascinating and amazing character. So pop on and watch Kalila interview him and listen to some of those great stories.
That sounds interesting. So darkoakmedia.com.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Allan, I'm going to shift gears and just mention that for my little plug for the week, if you want to maybe you have a deck or a patio cover or a screened-in porch or really anything made out of wood for the outside of your home, and you're in battle with squirrels like I've been doing, or just something interesting made of wood for the outside of your home. That's my wheelhouse. That's what I gravitate towards. Give me a call directly at 901-921-7105 or go to my website, thorshomes.com. Well, Allan, I also want to mention something. Bobbi's going to give us an update on the tour schedule for Shelf Genie because you guys are all over town. Next weekend, we want to invite everybody to go out to Mid-South Con, which is happening March 25th through 27th. It's a big science fiction convention. Bobbi's going to be there. She's going to be dressed as, I don't know if you're going as Wonder Woman or who. I don't know what your costume situation is.
A genie, of course.
A genie.
Well,
okay, so she'll be in costume there. But Mid-South Con has been gone for 2 years. We missed them since 2019 because of the pandemic. But they're back with the vengeance, and we'll be set up there. Tool Talk Radio and Geek Tank Radio will be on hand, and we'd love to say hello to you. So
absolutely,
check us out there, and you can go to midsouthcon.com, I believe, or .org because they're a
midsouthcon.org yes.
For more information. But so Bobbi, Shelf Genie of the Mid-South is all over town, and we definitely encourage people to show up at some of your appearances because you'll see what we mean. So give us a little breakdown of where you're going to be.
A little rundown of this spring. We will be at the Spring Market April 1st through 3rd, and then Arlington in April on April 30th. The Cinco de Mayo Senior Fair on May 3rd. Hernando's A Fair May 21st. Collierville's Fair on the Square May 7th through 8th. Memphis Italian Festival June 2nd through 4th, and the Balloon Jamboree on June 17th through 19th.
Oh, those are all fun events, and I like the Italian Fest. Alan, I've been going to that for
that is
25, 30 years, but and that's right in my part of town. But also, I like these. You're going to be in Arlington. I'm assuming it's a downtown because downtown Arlington is it's a very quaint, really neat little old town.
Yes.
And Collierville's downtown square is I think it won like one of the top 10 squares in America or something in Germantown. So you're going to be at a lot of fun festivals. So
we will, and we will continue on through the fall with these festivals.
And then, of course, your big, I'd have to say your big, where you really pull out all the stops is, the Home Show of the Mid-South, but also Vesta Home Show.
Yes.
So that's where we met you. That we were impressed, so. And it was the beginning of a beautiful friendship. So, but I'm curious too because this is a little bit of a departure, but I was really intrigued because you said you're a pilot, and as far as planes, and also you're a balloon pilot.
Yes.
How? So you're a balloon pilot, and also you're a Shelf Genie designer.
Yes.
How do those skills
can do more
overlap?
than one thing, Joe.
We've remarked, Alan. We've said, in fact, Bobbi, you and I had this discussion the other day about how there's some skill sets that don't seem like they'd be connected at all, and yet they overlap. Like, for example, I've talked about how I think storytelling and carpentry overlap in big ways. So, but how does piloting? How has that enhanced your designing abilities?
Well, I grew up flying. My dad was a crop duster. And so I grew up around planes, parking planes, washing planes, being a flag person out in the field back in the day when they allowed that.
Wow.
And so moved from there to just loving flying, but my passion was hot air ballooning.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that my understanding is that balloon pilots are very what's the word? They're very passionate. That's the word. They're very enthusiastic about ballooning. Is that right?
Yes, it's the romance of flight to me. It's like
the
you
word
don't
I
really
used
even
was
get.
obsessed.
Yeah.
Okay, an obsessed, passionate person.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
right.
it's- And you notice the balloon people don't argue with that word. They go, no,
No,
really.
yeah, truly.
Having attended a number of balloon festivals, now I don't fly a balloon. Having attended the festivals, they are astounding.
They're
Just the visuals. When you guys see the posters of the 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 balloons all lifting up at once, it is absolutely nothing compared to being on one or seeing it.
Absolutely. It's the beauty of
Amazing.
flight to me.
Yeah.
Is it hard? You talk about a balloon pilot, and it's always mysterious to me because I'm like, okay, well, there's no propeller, there's no. How do you steer a balloon? I mean, is it all air currents?
It's all air current.
You really got to understand. So meteorologists have nothing on a balloon pilot, right? You have to know about wind and weather and
Well,
pressures.
actually, we have a wonderful machine that we send up what is called a pie ball, which is a balloon filled with helium, and a machine reads that pie ball as it goes into the air and prints out what wind at what level is blowing in what direction and how fast.
That's interesting. So I don't know.
That's mainly that's more competition. Just to fly on a Saturday morning, you just get out there at sunrise and put that balloon up and
Now, I got to
go.
tell you, the roar that those propane heaters make is absolutely astounding.
It's interesting you would say that because we have to be careful when we go over fields, pastures with horses or cattle.
Yeah.
You're right.
You're
it has
loud.
quite a roar.
Those things are not quiet.
Especially because a lot of times you're floating without it, right? And then so it gets quiet and then loud. Okay. So during Balloon Fest, we'll see how productive Bobbi's going to be. She's probably going to be off at the.
I will be, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much. I
will be
work you'll get done that
double-minded.
one. But you also told me that you majored. Do I have this right? Interior architecture. What was that all about? Because that seems a little more closely related to where you're at now.
Yes.
So
It's kind of like when you've lived as long, quote unquote, as I have, you've lived several lives. And so, yes, I majored in interior architecture with a minor in art many lives ago and did many things since then. But basically, when I first came out of college, I was an architectural rep for a company. But then I also was a designer, facility designer for Baptist Hospital in Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, wow.
So it was more commercial type of design work. But
So you have a really, and I like that you talked about art, but although architecture is an art form in and of itself too, but bringing all that experience into your design work has got to be really helpful. I mean,
yes, very helpful. And that's the passionate part, I think, about Shelf Genie. It's not just, I fell in love with the quality of the product and the service, but being able to help people ultimately is very fulfilling for me. And I really do. I not only do I help with the beauty and the organization, but especially in those cases where accessibility for that client who's had the 5 back surgeries, who can't reach their.
I was at the booth. I was hanging out with Cindy talking at the home show of the Mid-South, and people just keep coming up, and they're like, these might have been people that are former clients that have already had installations, and it's just amazing how excited they are, and they're always so grateful, and they're just they really I feel like too that once the installation happens, it's not like you just go off into the ether. It's sort of like a
family.
community that you've created.
It's like family.
Very cool. And we always talk about a company's culture, and there is a great culture with Shelf Genie, not just that Cindy Williams provides, but also just the entire from, top to bottom. It's really great. So we love having you on. And Bobbi, we're going to definitely be having you back on the show. But before we get out of here, tell us once again, how do they get in touch with Shelf Genie?
The local number is 901-422-8888. 8225 and tell them so we can track our advertising that you heard it on Tool Talk.
Yeah, and even if you didn't hear it on Tool Talk, tell them that you did.
Tell them then, yeah.
How does that work? I don't know. Anyway,
works well.
It works for us. That's how
convoluted.
That works.
So,
there you go.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, and Bobbi, I guess we'll be seeing you up in the air next time you see a balloon float by, Allan. You never know. Maybe she'll be up there piloting
not
that
a balloon
baby.
spider.
Yeah, those things. We're definitely gonna be following those. Those.
Well,
with
yeah,
great
I'm going to be
interest.
keeping up with those this spring. So.
All right. Well, gosh, another stellar episode of Tool Talk Radio's in the can. But guys, it's time to get out of here. So, on behalf of my friends Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass and our pal Bobbi Wilkerson, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.